The Financial Times and the Wall Street Journal initially called my plan Bidenomics. I'm not sure they meant it in a totally complimentary way at the time. But guess what? It's working.
Is Bidenomics working? And some would argue that it's not. Are you feeling it? Are you spending less at the gas station every time that you have to fill up your tank? Are you getting more bang for your buck at the grocery store? Probably not. And President Trump had some numbers to share at an appearance Friday night. Watch this.
But groceries are up 22%, eggs are up 50%, electricity is up 40, 50, 60%, gasoline is up 56%. Car insurance, you can't even get it. I mean, it's up 52% if it's available, and then if you need it, they don't give it to you. They fight you like hell. And meanwhile, real wages are down by almost 5%. This is what we have. This is Bidenomics.
So you know who else is feeling the pinch here? Big food change. And they're supposed to be cheap and convenient. They're facing serious financial problems. And guess who pays for it? You, when you are hungry. Dennis Neal, he is the former managing editor of Forbes magazine and host of What's Bugging Me podcast. And Hilary Fordwich is the president of the Strell Mark Business Development Consultants. Thank you both for being here. Hilary, clearly the pandemic didn't do many favors here for restaurants in general. A lot of them had to close down. They had to limit how they did their business. But fast food prices, they seem to be going up fast and furiously. What's going on?
Yes, you're absolutely right about that. And the clip you showed, very interesting, John. That clip was from quite a long time ago. It wasn't from 2024. It was from last year. Why? Because he is not using the term Bidenomics anymore. He was absolutely right. The Wall Street Journal coined the economy that. What they were doing was playing off Reaganomics, and Reaganomics, of course, was successful, and they were pointing to the fact that obviously under Biden, the economy isn't good. Now to your exact question. What does this mean to the average consumer and what is happening? Well, you are seeing this across the US, but there's an American expression which I think is so apt, and it's what happens in California is eventually going to go everywhere. And you're seeing closures in California. 15,000 franchises are going to be closing after April 1st, and you're seeing that across numerous states in the United States. Why? Because when minimum wages rise, and when they rise in each different franchise, those costs are passed on to the consumer, and the consumer is not going. And every single closure of all of the fast food chains, and there's over 15 of these fast food chains across the nation, famous ones closing. And John, they all have some numerous different reasons, but every single consistent theme is less customer traffic, which means people can't afford to go. And last point, American consumers earning under $50,000 are the hardest hit by Bidenomics. So the very demographic, the Democrats try to support, they're the ones suffering.
And Dennis, one of them is Red Lobster. They're really feeling it. It closed dozens of locations across 20 states, and they could even file for bankruptcy later this month. This all-you-can-eat shrimp deal might have been a bad idea there. Any chance they could rebound?
A real miscalculation. And Red Lobster is owned by Thai Food Group. It's a seafood company. It fishes for it, and it used it as an outlet for its product. It's not a restaurant operator, and in these times, you need a real professional restaurant operator. Let's remember, fast food prices overall are up more than 20%, and even though the rate of inflation is down, the prices have not come down. At the same time, when you've got $15 an hour or more in California, they're closing shops because of that. They're ruining for high school kids who wanted their first job. And let's remember that at fast food shops, that's where the poor stop buying first. It's an early indicator. The U.S. Conference Board says we're going to have 2 quarters consecutive, second, third quarter this year, of negative GDP. And that sometimes to the media means it's a recession.
And Dennis, that's a great point. Hilary, I mean, if low-income families are using fast food restaurants to feed their families, grocery store bills are too high. This is a serious problem. I mean, if you look at the price of a Big Mac right now, it's high. I mean, how are these people going to be able to survive if this is what they've been relying on?
Yes, it's really high, and as I mentioned, hurting the very demographic that the Democrats purport to support. I also would say this, I would say the poor demographic across America, they are suffering most, but for those people that think, oh, the economy's good because the stock market's up, I always like to turn to experts like Jamie Dimon, and he just recently was asked 2 days ago at the global CEO conference that Macron was holding in France, and he was asked specifically, well, if things are so bad, because he talked about all the underlying issues like the national debt, like the raise, that what I was talking about, the minimum wage, he was talking about all of those factors. He was asked, but how come the stock market is up? And his answer was, it's happy talk. So, John, my answer is, this happy talk is really masking what's really going on. And when you look at the fundamentals of the US economy, if Americans, to your point, your very valid point, can't afford to eat, that is a ghastly situation.
Major problem. Dennis, you got last word here before we go to break.
If the economy slows enough and the news is bad enough, then the Fed has a fig leaf for being able to cut interest rates before the election. And so the markets are looking not so much as the economy, where it's going, they're looking at when can the Fed start cutting rates, because that fuels higher stock prices. And so bad news ends up being good news to the markets sometimes.
Yeah, incredible. Dennis Neal, Hilary Fordwich, thank you so much. Appreciate you coming on.